I'm here with the last game of Slamato against creditordebit. He must be accountant. An accountant. Hey, hey. Good for you. Good job. I mean, a good career. Okay, so I'll play my Nimzovich. Oh, he's going to play that. Okay, fine. I could play F5 here, but I'm going to hold that. Do some of that later. Okay, this is interesting. Knight C3. Kind of a... He's playing a Nimzovich reversed. So if I play D4, I get what I want. Okay, so it's now a Nimzovich reverse, so to speak, where black is. I'm all confused. Game's even. Okay, so now I've got to play this carefully. Bishop E6 takes away C4 from his bishop, and then the trick is to play F6 after that, keep his knight out. Okay, so I remember this line. This can happen in openings with one knight C3. It's got some interesting transpositions. But I remember looking this up in ECO some 30 years ago, and this was the structure that they recommend, and black gets equality. Now I've got to play chess. The two knights on the king side are meant to try to attack on the king side. Okay, so he's going to play C3. Now I could play D3 here, but that pawn could be a target. How does he get to it? Gee, it's not clear how he gets to it. I'm just going to play it. Let him spend his time trying to figure out how to do it, because he can't attack it too easily. Now his queen's tied up. His bishop's tied up. Well, both of his bishops are tied up. Wow. This is a strange position. He's got to play queen A4 or B4 here and try and wiggle his way out of this, because if he doesn't do anything, I'm going to play A5 and A4 and plunk my bishop in on B3. His knight on H4 needs to move somewhere so that he could fianchetto the bishop, but where does his knight on G3 go? F5, I guess. He's going to be struggling here for a while. Chess is a strange game. You can get something like this right out of the opening. So the pawn could be a target later, but right now it's going to do a couple things for me. It's going to cramp his game and consume a lot of clock time as he tries to sort this out. So he's got to play knight F5 here with the idea of knight E3 and G3, bishop G2, castles, and then he can start working on my pawn on D3 maybe with knight E1 and get something else to attack it. Okay, there he found knight A5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play A5. Like I said, my plan is to play A4 and bishop B3, checkmating his queen. Now devilish. If he plays B4, he runs into some pins. So B4 might have been his move, and then delay knight knight F5 for a move. So, like I said, I just want him to spend some time on the clock here. And I can kind of play this quickly because I'm in no hurry to castle. I'm in no hurry to do anything because he's not threatening anything. He may have to try to sacrifice something, anything, break something open here. Knight takes G7 check so that at some point he could get a queen H5 check. Is that a possibility? Now I have bishop F7 dropping it back. He can't play B4 here because there's some pins I take, and he takes with the C pawn. Then I play knight takes B4, and okay. So now I'm going to play A4, and how does he save this from material loss? What does he do? Bishop B3 is a serious threat. He can't move his king. He's going to have to take on d3 with his bishop, it looks like, and oh, he found his clearance for his queen that way. Well, that's fine. You know, he's really got no development, so let's see. He's going to put his queen on f3, g4, or h5. If he puts it on f3, I'm liable to... I'll find something to do. Let's see. Oh, there's sure nothing wrong with putting the bishop on b3. Like I say, he's going to have trouble getting developed here. Okay, now, what do we want to molest? He's on my bishop, I mean my pawn, so I'll go safeguard it, put the bishop on c2. And if he plays knight e3 here, oh well, he plays knight e3. Maybe I should have played bishop c4 instead, but I didn't. That pawn of mine may become a potent weapon here in a little bit. He's going to have a hard time. Well, maybe not have a hard time collecting it. I don't know. Phooey. Knight d3, queen d6, knight takes, c2, bishop takes c2, bishop d3, and I castle, and he swipes my pawn. Okay, I played this too quick. That happens. So, he's not threatening my pawn at the moment, so I'll just go here. I'll come back. Give him a chance to repeat the position. Then I'll play the right move, bishop c4. And if he's not careful, I'll play queen d6 and either rook d8 or castle queenside. But again, he's struggling here. He's trying to find any kind of developing move. He's developed both his king bishop and his... No, he never developed his king bishop, but he's developed his king knight, and it went back. So... Knight h3. What do we do now? Let's see. Okay, where's that knight going? It's not going anywhere. So let's... Where can I want to attack something? Anything? How about if I just play queen d7 and keep his knight under wraps a little bit? That way, if he ever collects the pawn on d6, something's going to hang. h3. And let's see, he could play knight d5. Okay, queen d6, knight d5, bishop takes, pawn takes, and then I've got to cover. So I need to play knight e7 here. And my bishop on f8 isn't... I'm not worried about getting it developed right at the moment. Let him consume clock time. I got two minutes. I'll be playing queen d7 next move, but I need to stop knight d5 just for what it's worth. Okay, so he's abandoned the idea of going after d3. Well, that's fine. He's going to castle, so I need a plan, and my next plan is to play queen d7, bishop e6, That doesn't work. Yeah, queen d7 and bishop. Okay, so queen d7. If he castles, I play bishop e6, and I'm crawling all over his knight on h3. Okay, now he might want to go knight d5 next, but we can let him do that. He's not really threatening anything, and I can just castle and put more pressure on d5. Okay, I got a minute and a half advantage. On knight d5, he's threatening the pawn on d3, but I can cover that well enough. Yeah, he's got to be very careful here. Bishop e6 is a threat, so that's why he might need to play knight d5 here. Okay, so now bishop e6, as I said, is a threat. How does he guard it? With pawn g4? Wow. That's then I play h5. Bishop e6 seems to be the move, and if he plays knight d5, I'll just grab his critter on h3. Bishop e6. Let's see what he has. He could play knight d5 too, so that at the end of it all, he's planning to fork me on c7 after an exchange on a3, but that doesn't... I can just delay taking things, so I'll just take it now. And yeah, just take it now. It's peace. Oh, he's got a check. Clever. Well, I missed that. I'm such a potzer. Well, I'll make him take with the queen. Then I'll find a good continuation. Okay, so if I trade off the queens, he just has this horrible position. He still can't develop his queen side. I'm going to make sure he doesn't develop his queen side. Now, he's not threatening d3, so what I need, his only hope for any kind of activity is to play f4, but what does that really do him? If I'm not careful, he'll find some kind of a trick here, so let's see. Knight a5. Knight a5 keeps his knight out of c4, although, so what if he goes there? What's that threaten? Nothing. Knight c4, I play b5 and chase him back. I need to get my bishop deployed. Bishop h6 doesn't. Bishop h6. Point being, at some point I might be taking on e3 and shoving a pawn to d2. That'll keep him busy. So what if I just play rook d8 here? Overprotect d3, planning bishop h3, because he's probably going to play f4 here. You know, he's just struggling for squares. You could play bishop e6 here, but I'm not too worried about that. As I say, I've got some ideas of my own. I'm only barely a minute ahead on time. I was hoping there'd be a win in here, but there wasn't. But I still got him tied up. The pawn on d3 is just killing him. And it's making him spend clock time trying to defend it, and I'm spending clock time trying to put him out of his misery. I'm playing a little too quick. I don't see any point of knight a5, and okay, he did play that. Now, like I say, I plan bishop h6 here because I'm going to take and push a d-pawn. I'm going to take and push my d-pawn if he opens up that file. So this is a very useful move. And he could play knight g4, but that's fine. I'll just back my bishop up very carefully to g7, covering f6. And if he wants to make some trades down there, that's fine. Okay, I was expecting that at some point, and there it is. Okay, so wasn't worried about it then. I'm not worried about it now. Rook d6, and he could go to d5. I don't want to take it because then he'd be forking my two pawns on c7 and f6. So I'll put the rook on d6 and let him show me what he had in mind. So I've got almost all my pieces out. He doesn't have his rook and bishop out, and I'm not sure when he's getting those out. Not for a while. Could play bishop c4 here, but I'm liable to just castle. Then maybe he plays bishop b5, eyeballing a4. Maybe he's going to play b3 and try and get some freedom that way. Well, he can't yet. He's got to deal with his bishop. It's under attack. Okay, he played bishop a2. Okay, now I can't castle kingside, but I can do a few other things here, such as play b5, which just restrains him a little bit. b5, suppose he plays b3. I'm just going to play knight a5. I like that. I've got the luxury to do a few things with my knights. For all he knows, I'm going to stick the knight on b3 and forever entomb his bishop on c1. So he can't push he can't take on e5 with his f pawn because he's going to drop something, mainly bishop takes e6 and d2 at some point will be a serious threat that he can't ignore. So I'm just kind of like playing positional bind here, trying to keep him from going anywhere. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take d5 away from him. I don't want him in there at all. Don't want him there at all. So c6 keeps him out of d5. Maybe he's going to try to... Okay, I wasn't worried about that move so much. Okay, say I just drop back. And I'll welcome the f-file opening up because it enables me to activate my rook. When's his queen rook getting in the game? I'll trade rooks and his queen rook isn't in the game. And for what it's worth, I might just kick his... Well, he's going to play knight f2, pile up on d3. No, he's going to do it that way. Okay, fine. If I play knight c3, maybe I need to play c4 here. c5. The idea is to follow up with c4 and just forever frustrate him. If he tries c4 himself, I can even gambit a pawn with b5, and he's never getting his queenside developed. Strange game. Probably a lot of mistakes on my part. I wish I had... This is the kind of position I just love. You know, you're just putting on a clinic here is squeezing him. You know, look at that poor queenside. It's embarrassing. I mean, I would run in shame. And I don't mean him in any disrespect, but I've had worse games than this. It's not that bad. But here, he's trying to do something, anything. That pawn on d3 just has been killing him all game. Okay, so now he doesn't want me to play c4, so I'm going to play it. I'm going to find a way to play it anyway. Let's see. If I play b5, he could play c4. Then he's no longer pressuring d3, so then takes, knight takes, he's on it. b5, c4. I can even play b4 here, and yeah, c4. I just play b4. He takes, I take. Then if he plays bishop b1, I have knight b3, and he drops his bishop on c1 because his bishop's in the way. So b5 with the idea of c4. And he can bring the knight back into d5. I understand that, but I can't have everything. I'm just going to trap both of his bishops. So knight d5, I play c4. And he's down a rook and two bishops because they can never get in the game unless he sacks something. So strange game. Strange indeed. What's he do? c4 is a candidate move. I push by with b4 and I tie them all up. And he can never play bishop b1. Okay, he played there. And now, like I just say, I just bottle him up. And he's got... Well, he's got a check. Let's see. He's got a check, winning the pawn on b5. And then he's on my rook. So how about if we just... c4, he checks. Rats. If I play knight takes, I can even give up the exchange here and be winning. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give up the exchange and win the game. Okay, knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, pawn takes, c4, and his rook and his bishop never get in the game. And then I am up 2 pieces on the rest of the board. Right? That was the solution. He never gets those guys out, ever. They're entombed. And I'm up 2 pieces on the rest of the board. See, I have a rook and bishop and knight against a king and a rook. And he's never getting his queenside developed, ever. Wow. Amazing position, huh? It took me a while to find that. I just can't play fast. Give me time and I'll do well. Congratulations to people that can play blitz chess fast. I can't. Okay, as I said, he is down 2 pieces on the rest of the side of the board, so let's just make sure he stays down 2 pieces. Let's trade his rooks. Trade his last rook. Okay. Well, he's not going anywhere with his king, so I'll just move my king up and zugzwang him. I'll go win the pawn on d5, then I'll bring my knight into play. Might just leave the knight on b3 so they can never move anything. Okay, well, that's fine that you did that, but you're never getting out. I'm not taking en passant. I'm just going to play knight b3, and your rook is stuck on b1 and can never move again, and I'm a piece up on the rest of the board. There you go. Knight b3. You can play your bishop. Oh, he gets his bishop out. He's getting his rook out. Oh man, I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so that's fine. Check. He just doesn't have enough time to solve this. Okay, so now let's see. I can just win a whole bunch of pawns here. Knight takes d2 check, bishop takes, and see if I not carefully plays bishop b2 and gets his rook out. Well, actually, you know what? He can't even play bishop b2 in this position because he will lose his rook. So I'll just do it this way. I'll play bishop takes d2, and yeah, thank you. You're getting your rook out, but at a price. Okay, so let's see. How do I want to do this? Knight here, he gets his rook out. Knight checks. That's mate. Oops. Knight takes d2. Looks like a mate. Now he's just going to have to give up his rook now because otherwise it's mate. Too bad I don't have knight c4. Okay, knight takes d2 check. Oh well. Crazy game, huh? I want to thank everyone for watching this, and I thank you so much for your time. It's definitely got a lot of improvement in it, but I suck at blitz. Give me a slow game and I'll compete with the big boys. Down here, I'm open prey. Enjoy your wins when you get them against me down here. There will be plenty of them, as we will see. Thanks again for your time. Take care.